Welcome to Weird Games and Weirder People, a podcast about role playing games and the weird, wonderful people behind them. Hello, wonderful weirdos. This is Diogo Nogueira, and I'm back from Game On Expo for GaryCon. It was an amazing trip. I'll tell you more about it. But today, I have a very special guest. I'm talking about Anthony Meloro. He's the creator of Mystic Punks. He has a very do-it-yourself culture. But before I get into that, I would like to remind you to please subscribe to the show wherever you listen to the podcast. Leave us a review, tell us what you think about the show, and please also share it with your friends, with your game group, with your family, with your pets, I don't know, with everyone. And if you have any spare coins, help us support the show, pay us a coffee, buy one of my games, help us keep this going and paying the subscriptions and whatever. But now, getting back to our special guest, I'm talking about Anthony Meloro, the creator of Mystic Punks. We obviously talk a lot about Mystic Punks, the collaborators, the inspirations, how it came up with it, how I discovered Mystic Punk I was traveling in the United States, how we got to talk to each other. We also talked about fatherhood, we talked about creative rituals, we talk about education, we talk about art, creativity, how they all mix together. We talk about spirituality and weirdness, all that really strange stuff that I like to talk about the show. We also talk about many amazing collaborators we have, people that are working on Mystic Punks, talk about concepts in the game. It's a very, very cool episode. I saw a lot of common between me and Anthony. It was really one of the episodes we see connecting. It was a great show. I loved it, and I hope you like it too. So listen up and let's get weird with Anthony Meloro. Hello, Anthony. Welcome to Weird Games and Weirder People. I've been following your work for a long time. I remember like the first time I stepped on Mystic Punk zines was on a 20-sided store in New York. And this very, handmade approach to it, and it's very counterculture approach to it, hooked me instantly, and I looked for all the other issues I could get, and your like other games and zines you released, and I was fascinated, and I'm very glad to be here, very glad to be collaborating with the Mystic Punks universe with an adventure for it, and
Yeah,
well, I'm just like to say welcome and ask you how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me on. I mean, the love is mutual. Big fan of yours as well, too. So,
Thank you.
yeah, in everything. Yeah, I remember those initial posts of you picking up the Mystic Punks and also Hot Jungle you had
Yeah,
as well
yeah.
too from 20-sided store, and I was like, awesome, great, this is awesome. Yeah, but yeah, it's been I guess a wild ride, to say the very least. I mean, Mystic Punks came out all the way in 2016, as you mentioned, just as a simple zine, and now
Yeah.
it's been an uh, through Exalted Funeral. It's been who started distroing the zine after it got a little bit of picked up a little bit of steam and popularity, and then it led to the collected edition, and now we're gearing up for our Kickstarter to release on March 20th, which we're super excited. Tons of amazing people, including yourself, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, all involved. So very exciting.
Yeah. And for those who might not know exactly what is Mystic Punks, and how did you come up with that weird and wonderful idea of making this weird game about just weirdos
Weird.
fighting against, yeah, it's a game for weirdos. It's fantastic, fighting against these creatures, and they're like disguised in reality, and tell us a little bit about the history of Mystic Punks.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, it started in 2016, but I guess I could go back a little bit more before then. Uh, my my initial roots come from the comics community, and especially with do-it-yourself press. indie comics, all of those wonderful subcultures there. And I was so around, well, I'd say 2015, leading up to 2016, anticipating the birth of my first son. I was moving away from comics, and I was really thinking back to my love of in my youth, because I'm super old now, of RPGs.
How
And
old are you, if you
I
don't mind
I am
asking?
no, no, please, no, it's 46. And yeah, and it's
Okay.
I feel it every day. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah. I just turned 40, so yeah, I feel
Yay.
it too. Yeah.
Yeah, one of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, it's been awesome, and the energy just keeps going, of course. But I was doing yeah, I was thinking back to my
Well,
love of
for you,
RPGs.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like in my youth of I had the red box of D&D when it came out in the 80s. That spawned a love going into second edition. And we had a group that we played with, that in middle school and in high school, that was
And
I
and
mean, it was
and
just all fun.
were you
Mm.
into that kind of punk stuff while you were playing RPGs, and that's
You,
how you draw for it? How did you
no,
the punk and the RPG meet?
No, it's like that was definitely later in life. Like, I have always loved and been active in, like I said, in those comics, in those DIY communities, and in those music
Mm-hmm.
scenes. And that was just sort of a melding of the two. And it was sort of like inadvertently sort of writing that uh zeitgeist at the time. Like, I didn't see Stranger Things when it came out, but I also noticed that, like, during that time, it was picking up more steam. And that's one thing I'll touch on a little bit later. Like, I never sort of wanted Mystic Punks to be the kids in trouble idea trope, or like they could break it would break free from that, and where it can't be pigeonholed by that. And like I said, I'll get more into that later. But it's a big part of it was yeah, just seeing how I could take all my love and weirdness of B horror movies, of like I said, the subcultures in music. Some of it punk, some of it, being just electronic,
Mm-hmm.
country, anything that's considered a little bit more of that outsider. And that's where a big part of the heart of Mystic Punks is that, yeah, you're this weirdo. You're you're this
Yeah.
individual that's you're outside of whatever is quote unquote considered normal society, and you're protecting your hometown, or whatever, to against those supernatural threats. But yeah, it was really, as the zines went on, and the zines initially that came out first were solo RPG play, and those were all set in a high school. So and the idea was it would definitely would have a beginning and an end, and it eventually came to that end when Exalted Funeral released the collected edition. But I did notice, as it like during that time, that, yeah, a lot of talk about it was, yes, this is like high school kids in trouble, or and lead into that. And yeah, I like I just mentioned before, it's like I wanted to break through with that. And that is, I think, where we're successfully going with the TTRPG, with the group play, because I want I want you to be as weird as you possibly can for, for this. If
Yeah.
you want to be a slime person, go for it. If you want to be the disgruntled custodian, middle-aged custodian, go for it. Go do it. Yeah.
But you're always kind of this outsider, and because of what you see and what you can face, you're always put in the fringes of the normality in society, right? Uh,
Yes.
do you think about this? Why do we? It's a common trope, right? Always the
Mhm.
people that go do those things are always
the ones that do not fit society, do not fit normal life
Hmm.
in a way, right? Do you
Yeah,
feel like an outsider, a weirdo too? Do you identify with that?
I,
Uh,
I feel like a dad all the time. So, so no, I definitely feel like a normie
but
most of the
between
time.
the dads, like between the
Yeah.
dads, because I mean, if you go like to a kids party, and then
Hmm.
all the other dads are there.
Weirdo,
Yeah,
weirdo for sure. Like, yeah, a few. I guess you can see a few
yeah,
tattoos. Yeah, yeah, and it's well, I think especially when uh the conversation. That's a perfect example. Like when we have the conversation with those other family members and they find out that I'm an artist, my wife's an artist, and like, oh, you're like, it sort of, it really it sparks up an
and they
interest
ask,
in,
but what do you do besides,
right,
artists?
right. We have the day job for sure, but yeah, it's always it's always very interesting. But and I'm also like I become such a proponent, and I want to be a positive force for like pushing that and knocking out that stereotype of like, oh, artists, well, yes, we're weird, but we definitely, yeah, we're here.
we are we are among you. Yeah,
Yeah, we're among you.
we
We're
are among
among
you.
you. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, but it's yeah, it's I guess to certain degrees, like, yeah, it's the what I've been interested in uh has always sort of been, yeah, considered weird or out there. Like, I still collect tons of comics. I still get excited by weird stuff. Actually, just today, can I share something real
Yeah,
quick? Can I
of
share? Oh,
course.
look at I just got this in the mail from I don't know from
Yeah, it looks
Fantagraphics.
great.
Yeah, it's this from
Pray.
1991. It's called Prey, and it's like this artwork is
Yeah,
insane. Yeah, yeah. So I can't sort of wait to dig into that. But yeah, those type of weird things I always still gravitate to, and still the same thing with like even like music. It's like, oh yeah, let me listen to that drone album that goes on for like 5 hours. That's that radical sort of experimental sound album. Yeah,
yeah,
it just is always it's always there. Yeah, for sure.
yeah. And have you ever been able to, when interact with the other, more normal dads of
Hmm.
this circles, have you ever been able to, drag some of them to experience the weirdness of this world and present this
Oh
to
yeah.
them? Because I have tried, and one of we tried to like schedule a game, but didn't work out, and then
Mm.
but I do try to,
Yeah, yeah. Do you know? So the answer to that question is yes, and I have been successful to get
nice.
to yeah, to even play Mystic Punks, which is awesome, which is great. So they have a great time with it as well too. Uh, but I have a question. It's like, are you able in your gaming group? Is it uh? So we're saying like no, there's no like quote unquote normal dads there, or is it?
Well, my current gaming group, uh, you're basically three game designers and some of our friends that
Mm,
already play,
sure,
and we play each other games to test stuff out.
gotcha.
Uh, yeah,
But not, yeah, still have yet to get the coveted normal dad
yeah.
to get there.
I did play with some people from work. Introduced the game for people from work, or made
Mm,
them remind of games they used to play when they were like younger. And one of them even came this year like to ask for suggestion for games for him to buy to play with his kid, which is
oh,
about the
awesome.
same age as me, and it was pretty cool. Yeah, it's nice when you have the impact to make someone play again and have fun with this. I love that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and to get like that new generation of their children involved
Oh yeah.
is super awesome. And like, I'm beginning to experience that a little bit right now with both of my children. I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they're my oldest he'll draw dungeons with me, and we'll come up with traps together. So we have fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, we have fun with that.
Yeah.
And my youngest 5, he'll show me some pretty cool monsters, which are definitely leaning on like the Eldritch HP Lovecraft side, which is I was like, I don't know how you are my son, I guess. I don't know. It's like you're
Yeah.
it's like so it's we're all about fostering that too as well. Like keep going, get weird with it for sure.
Yeah. And well, have you been playing with them? Role playing games? Have you ever tried or?
N- yeah, not yet, not yet. And I
Okay.
think
Yeah.
my Jack, my youngest, is like maybe a little bit too young. But however,
Yeah.
we will. Well, but how about this? We recently we had a story back and forth of us talking about uh coming up with like a pirate story together. So and he was
Mm.
really into he's really into pirates right now. All things sort of sea creature. That and Pokemon he's recently discovered too.
Yeah.
And we sat down and we were just playing, and he really wanted to like sort of craft this story with me. And I mean craft, in very
Yeah.
loose terms, but it was great to see like where his imagination was going. Like, Daddy, now he blasts the cannon at the big squid. I was like, okay, let's to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, that's yeah, pure joy, right? And
Yeah.
but yes, my oldest he's getting yes, he's I got to start doing that with him before. Right now, I'll be honest though, we're usually playing Mario Kart together.
Well,
Pretty, yeah,
that's great. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
and he's winning. Oh, he's so good.
Oh yeah.
He's so good. I was like, how do you're 8? No, but it's been really awesome. But yes, soon, absolutely, cannot wait to play
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
DCC, I want to get them to get DCC.
I keep dreaming about having like his friends and come here and they have a group and I jam them and I kill them all and they have fun. So it's fun.
You do TPK on it's like
Yeah, and they have a blast. Everybody dying. It's fun.
Diogo, your dad is so
Yeah.
Diogo's dad is so tough. That's awesome. Yeah, for sure.
I'm joking, but I mean, it would be fun. Like I would even suggest because we hear the stories that people set up like a DD club
Mm.
after school, and yeah, I would love to do that. Like organize a few parents, and we have a D&D club for the kids to play and learn how to play games. Not necessarily D&D, of
Sure.
course. It's RPG in general, but it's something that would be cool. Like, and
Yeah,
I imagine doing that.
absolutely.
Yeah,
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 that would be awesome. It's like well, I mean, I think it just also speaks to the universality of this hobby that we're in, and just how it really. I mean, yes, uh, s- school grade children, a little bit, like elementary school, middle school, high school, like yeah, it just is it sort of just permeates through it all, and like they get super excited over it. And it's also, I think, really interesting to see like where when I was growing up in the 80s, it was very much maligned. I mean, satanic panic and all of that stuff that was happening in America
oh yeah,
aside, it was like it was more like the speaking of being an outsider, like being called a nerd or being
oh
associated with
yeah,
like comics, role playing games, any type of fandom, sci-fi, horror, you were immediately maligned. To see where that has changed now is so heartwarming, and to see like there is an inclusivity that has just like high school, like again, all those kids are just like, we're doing this, and like there's no stigma against that. It's like it's in the blood, right? So it's like
yeah,
that's so awesome to see that.
yeah. It's fantastic, Anthony. For the weirdos out there who might not know who you are, and I also ask guests to just introduce themselves instead of I just read a bio. So, who is Anthony? Meloro. How do I say your last name? Meloro?
Meloro. Yeah,
Yeah,
you nailed it.
Anthony
Yeah.
Meloro.
Yeah. Yep.
And who is Anthony Meloro, and what is that you do? And if you can share a small weird detail about yourself, maybe the way you choose your clothes, or the way you do coffee, or maybe a weird ritual you have that you do every day. I don't know, something like this.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I love how we're getting deep right from the beginning. Who is Anthony Meloro? Geez, now I'm like, who am I?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, like,
yeah. Who
uh,
we are, right? Yeah.
that's. I just had therapy earlier this week, Diogo. I don't understand why I have to do it
Yeah, this is kind of therapy. Yeah, I always
again.
say this. Yeah.
It's so yeah, so hey everyone, I'm Anthony Paul with two L's Meloro.
Mm.
So that's a sort of weird thing right there too. uh I am originally from Northeast Ohio in the United States. I have been living now though in Richmond, Virginia. It's almost going on 20 years. And as I mentioned before, I've been in art communities as long as I could possibly remember. Um, yeah, I have I have my bachelor's in painting, and I have my master's in painting and drawing. And for a short while, I was a K-5 art teacher in Queens, New York, uh, back
Mm.
in the early aughts, which was great, and that is where I met my soon to be future wife, which is she's still putting up with me, and we're still here, and we're like, and that's I mean, and when we moved to Richmond so she could pursue her master's in painting. She's an absolutely wonderful painter, and I would be absolutely nothing without her. But we did think that we were going to, as soon as we came down here, we came from New York City, and we're like, oh, we're in Richmond, Virginia now. We'll immediately just go right back. Nope, almost 20 years later, here we still are. Uh, yeah, and I mean, I guess one thing that I would want the listeners to know about me is that I just love to create, and I think that it's uh yeah, who am I? I'm a creator, and but different than I'd say a content creator. So like
Yeah.
yeah, I love to make, and I love to experiment and to see where like what I'm doing now and what I hopefully can be seen for the foreseeable future in RPGs. It's like it's just been an absolute dream for that. Um, as far as like a weird thing, I like what you said about coffee. So yeah, what I've been doing, I don't know if this is a ritual or not, but I've been almost like religiously, I have to drink out of my Luigi coffee mug that, that I got in the Nintendo store up in New York City recently. With the family, we all went up there to celebrate the Lunar New Year earlier in February, and for like the past 4 weeks, every morning I have to have my Luigi cup to get that coffee in there
Nice.
with a little
Yeah.
bit of cream. So 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 yeah, that's the weird thing. Like, give me the Luigi cup. So I can't wait till somebody sees me at a con and be like, yeah, Luigi comes after they hear
Yeah.
this. Yeah,
That's great.
yeah,
You you did mention like do you have a day job too?
I
Like
do.
you what do you
Yeah, yeah.
do as a day job?
So I did. So I've been in art education uh, professionally since, oh geez, I would say since about 2001. So and I've taught at universities, as I mentioned before. I also taught at a public school for a while.
I wanted to be an art teacher. That was
Oh
what I
really?
wanted to do. Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow, nice. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I went
It's
to art school. I did
mm,
bachelor in design, but here
mm,
design was inside art school, the National School of
mm,
Art. I went to like the public university here, and
mm.
I what I really wanted was to do art, but my parents sent me to like to military school, and I kind of tricked them to, oh, design is more like industrials and stuff. But
Sure.
I grabbed all the disciplines I could from like painting and printing and all this, this kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
I wanted to be an art teacher. I had really good relationships with some of my teachers that I am in touch until today. And one of them, it's kind of a third grandma for my kids, you know.
It's awesome. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
That's so good. That's so good. So that is
yeah.
so wait. So guide me through this a little bit. Like you were going to the military, but
No,
you tricked your oh wait, yeah,
yeah.
tell me. Yeah,
Well,
go.
it's like military school is like a high school here, like high school,
Ah, okay,
like a
okay.
military
Gotcha.
high school,
Uh-huh.
and they wanted me to take exams to continue like a military career. But then I
Gotcha.
went to do graphic design in an art school, and I wanted to
Mm.
to do master and study abroad to come back. And but I saw how really hard teachers work and how very little money they make. and
It's
I
it's it's
and I
true. Yep.
realized that I liked expensive things like RPG books, and I said, well, if I wanna buy this, I should probably have like a day job where I can pay my bills and write my books on the side. So yeah.
Sure. That's his yes, that is an absolute thing. Yeah, that's amazing. So currently what I've been doing, I've been working for Virginia Commonwealth University since 2007, where I started as a drawing teacher. I was teaching um, observational drawing to first year art students, and I did that for from 2007 to about 2017. And again, my with the birth of my first child, it was like I would be doing. I would be teaching, but I was also doing where my full time job is right now. I would be doing academic advising, and essentially what
Hmm.
that is to help first year students through our studio art curriculum, so they're able to go to whatever major they want: sculpture, graphic design, photography, cinema. I'm sorry, not cinema, film. There's a difference, actually. There's a difference.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's been extremely rewarding. But yeah, I do miss. I do teach in a very small capacity, but it's not in doing drawing anymore. And I do miss teaching drawing. There's a certain energy that happens in a studio with um, uh, and I've taught like all ages, but there's something about that high school, early collegiate age that you see these things click and just really begin to take off. And this is also where I think where a lot of students really begin to feel, especially in art school, a community begin to develop. They begin to really, they're working extremely close with
Yeah.
these individuals during a semester, and they're seeing their ups and downs and how they're improving and where the weaknesses is. And like my I've always viewed my job. I had a reputation for a while, Diogo, of being like an asshole, and
Oh yeah.
I'm really doing a mea culpa
One of
on
one of my
that.
one
Go
of my
ahead.
favorite teachers had a reputation for being an asshole too.
But I was like, it was like I would be like, he's stern, but he's fair, but
Yeah,
I just couldn't.
that's the
I
thing.
Yeah, I softened up though. I did, and not saying that I wasn't still strict in my discipline in teaching, concept of proportion or contour line perspective, etc. It just was, I just couldn't maintain. This is middle age. I couldn't maintain that discipline.
Yeah,
But I didn't want to be that either. So
yeah,
it's but I do miss it because like I said, there is that baked in, built in community that happens, and you get to take them through that journey and to see where they really begin to grow. I still see it as an academic advisor, but it's a little bit different to be in the in the trenches with them, like
yeah,
really doing the grunt work as well. But yeah,
yeah, yeah. I remember you said about a teacher, and one of them, which was one of my favorites because he was very knowledgeable and he would share knowledge a lot. But one of his characteristics is that in his class you won't use like Photoshop. You want to make a poster,
Mm,
you use gouache, you use paint, you do it with your hands,
I love
and
him.
people hated him.
I
I
love him.
loved it. Yeah, I loved him. I loved him, and people
Yeah,
hated him.
it's
Yeah, man.
it's a lot of conversations that I have with students now too. That I mean, it's well, two things. It's it's really interesting to see, like, because a majority of the students I work with are 18 and 19, and and we sort of think as being cynical older people, like, oh, they absolutely know everything about um working with technology because they were
Yeah.
like born in the matrix, so to
And
speak.
this was when I was like 18, 20. Imagine now,
Yeah,
now would be impossible. Like
yeah,
nobody
impossible.
would want to. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And what we still see, and is like what we have to remind ourselves is that, yeah, they're still learning these things, and they're not as it's not as intuitive, and it is a but even more so, like, yeah, going that analog route, like where you don't necessarily have to
yeah,
rely upon digital media, is still super important. And that's like that's
yeah,
where the magic is too, right? When you really begin to use those that like you said, gouache or watercolor, acrylic or ink, and like all that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I
yeah,
feel like this may be a poor segue, but I just feel like what your drawings themselves are such an inspiration too, because they are so well, they're just so gnarly and rad, and they remind me so much of my youth looking um like, say, it's certain ones of them, of like old heavy metal posters. And like and I just
That
love
art was
seeing.
amazing. Yeah, yeah. And he
Yeah.
really liked that. Like he had a he I took like extra classes with him. He would like
Mm.
talk about comics and metal hurlan, and he was very knowledgeable
Oh
about
yeah.
European artists. And he was an illustrator. He's a very one of the few Brazilian illustrators to be nominated for one
Mm.
of the biggest children's book awards,
Oh,
and he
nice.
was incredible. And yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I wish I would have had an art teacher back then that would know about metal here, hurlant. Like, I did not, I did not that. I mean, because definitely comics, like,
yeah,
I mean, back then was considered like 80s, 90s, like that's low
yeah.
art. That's low, like that's plebeian. That's not what we're striving for. But it's like,
But
no, that really.
even in art school, like in university, you
Yeah,
didn't value it there.
no, because I
Because I
mean,
mean,
I did.
you're a little bit older than me, but like
Yeah,
6 years, and
yeah, yeah.
Brazil is always behind 10 years. So I would
Yep.
imagine, you know.
Well, I mean, I also did, like I said, I went for my in high school. Now I have to really think about it. Like, yes, my high school art teacher, like, you could maybe talk about comics, but he absolutely wasn't knowledgeable. And
Yeah, yeah,
this isn't a slight towards him in the least. It's like he wasn't
yeah.
knowledgeable. And
Of
then, like,
course.
going when I went to art school in Ohio, like, oh yeah, I there there definitely weren't comic classes there, and it was absolutely like you're going for your fine arts degree, so it's like
Okay.
if you're talking if we're going into painting, and again, like, I'm just talking about my experience, like,
Mm-hmm.
of course, like
Mm-hmm.
other universities,
Oh
I
yeah,
know, yeah,
of
very,
course. Yeah.
yeah,
Very
very much more
different.
open,
Even
yeah,
like
very, yeah.
you might see that we have like different schools and we're completely different vibes. Like one
Oh
more
yeah.
artsy, one way more technical. Like for design, for example.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would what I was going to mention was, like, my mentors and who I looked up in art school then were like they were the children of abstract expressionist painters. And like they were so and like we would listen to Thelonious Monk in the classroom with them, and jazz and bebop, and like we would absolutely get and we we felt that, and like we looked up to that, and we were like, yeah, let's tap into that. But it already was making that distinction between I would say, like, again, high and low art. Like, it
Yeah,
would be,
yeah.
so it came full circle with me when I was in grad school, and that's where coincidentally I met my co-creator Jay Domingo, who helps who helps out on
Mm-hmm.
who's absolutely amazing on Mystic Punks, working with the mechanics, helping with the lore, doing the layout for the books. We met in grad school 20 years ago, and we were absolutely like, if somebody would have told us like you two are going to work on an RPG together in 20 years, we would have been like, get out of what the what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But it's funny how it is. But during that time in like in art school with Jay, I was starting to get back into comic books. Like, I couldn't stop looking at the John Byrne 70s and run on X-Men. I was like, this is beautiful stuff. And so just bringing it all the way back to that. But yeah, but yes, definitely want to talk about Jay too. Jay's been Jay's actually the one that pushed this to becoming a group play, to becoming a TTRPG. Like, he was,
Yeah.
we reconnected. We've always talked to each other like over the years,
Mm-hmm.
but we got reconnected when he discovered that I was actually making Mystic Punks. I had no idea that he liked RPGs. He was in that time.
Back then you
Yeah,
didn't know. Oh, okay.
no ideas. And so this was like super serendipitous.
And you were into RPGs.
Yeah. Like, we had no discussion of this. Like, when we were in schools, like, we never talked about, like, we talked about our youth, but we never brought up like, oh yeah, like, I played 2E or anything like that. There's no mention of that
Did
from him.
did you
Oh,
use it to hide it from people? Because I know I did back then because I even lost girlfriends because they found out I played RPGs. So
I feel like
it
I have a brother in you. Yes.
uh,
Like, there was a certain part. There
yeah,
was a certain part that, again, like, yeah, like I said earlier, it was maligned, and it was like,
yeah,
I'm not getting
yeah,
any dates doing
yeah.
this. Like,
You had to really know those people wouldn't turn on you before you say, I have a
yeah,
dark secret. Yeah.
yes, yeah, super dark secret. Fact zero. Let's talk a thaco.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. They
I do fantasy math.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Uh, yeah, and that's again where I'm super lucky with my wife right now. Well, I actually knew that she would accept me because I was also in high school wearing contacts, and like, I have
Mm-hmm.
such bad eyesight. So when she saw me with just my glasses and was like, "I like you," I was like, "Yes, yes, I, I win
I
absolutely.
can be myself. Yeah.
I can be myself." Yeah, yeah, but Jay was he was at the time living, I believe, outside of Atlanta. He's in Athens, Georgia now, and he's a high school art teacher as well too. He teaches graphic design as well too. So
Nice.
that's where his career path is on, until we both go full time into RPGs. So, and
Yeah.
yeah, but what he was doing was running a lot of D&D 5e, like, in the area. I had no idea, and then when he found out about Mystic Punks, he's like, "What the hell is this?" And then he's like, "Bro, we need to make this a thing." I was like, "Let's do it." And that's where we are today with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Anthony, I always ask guests here to because it is RPG for weirdos, and this is the weird podcast in a way.
hmm
Can you define what is weird for you in your own words, and how do you explore that in the games you make and in your life in general?
Yeah, that's a great question. Weird for me, it I mean, maybe it also goes with what we were talking about, like, what we think of punk is as well. It's like, it's always the outsider to a certain extent. But I would weird for me is absolutely like a do it yourself aesthetic. And I think like the best way to sort of, for me anyway, to sort of explain that would be talking about like shot on video horror films or like B movie horror films, low budget, where there's always it's about the ambition behind it. The execution may not always be perfect. It may be like a little bit sloppy, but that's not a bug. That's a feature. Like to have it be slightly off. Like the acting may just be a little bit bad, just like in role playing games. It's like you're, like we're definitely not polished actors, thespians.
Oh
We're
yeah.
just yeah, we're doing it, but that's where again the fun comes from it as well. So that yeah, so I have a massive love of trash movies, trash cinema, like especially within like the horror and the sci-fi genres. So for that, I really dig on that knowledge, and I try to bring that forth in like my writings. Like try to make them a little gross, try to make them a little bit, uh, uh, yeah, bizarre for sure. And I also, I mean, I was born and raised Catholic, and there's certain things that I like to sort of touch into, not so much as taboo, but maybe it's a little bit of therapy for me. Like I didn't see I didn't. This isn't B movies, but I didn't see The Exorcist until I was 38 because I was afraid.
I didn't see it yet. It's in my plans. It's in my plans.
Is it because a little bit of a fear of it or just
I
not?
Oh yeah, I was terrified as a kid. I was raised Catholic too.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I'm autistic, but I was really scared. I like the scariest movie I saw as a kid was like from the kids the toy that kills, like the Chucky,
Oh, Child's Play.
yeah, that's
That's-
and that was already too much for me. And like
it,
I saw Alien, like
oh
the
yeah.
movie after I was 30 years old.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
you got yeah. So you got some catching up to do, but no, no. Hey, no pressure from me. It was like I had friends that would laugh at me. They're like, "You haven't seen The Exorcist yet?" I was like, "You don't understand. This is some deep-seated Catholic stuff going on right
Yeah.
now to
No,
see the
my
yeah."
parents had this long hallway between the living room and the rooms, our bedrooms.
Mm,
And those stories about getting in front of the mirror and saying, I know, I killed Joan d'Arc or something. And they would say like
mm-hmm.
names of usually women. If you repeat it 3 times and you flush, and this woman would come out of the mirror and kill you. So
What?
I yeah, kids invent
Yeah,
this
of course.
insane
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I was super scared of that, and then we had like a bathroom door in the middle of the hall between the
Mm-hmm.
living room and our bedrooms. So every time I would go from my bedroom to the living room, I would just run through the hallway. And if I wanted to go back to my bedroom from the living room, I would have to, I would stop right in the boundary, between
Yeah.
the rooms and the hallway. I would stop, take a deep breath, and then run to the other side.
that's heartbreaking, but sort of rad too as well
Yeah,
too. Like you had your own ritual
yeah,
to do that. But no, I hear no, absolutely. So yeah, it would be yeah. Just to go back to that question, it's like yeah, having like taking from that sort of splatter gore
yeah.
weird sci-fi like and again that doesn't mean like I don't have love for like the major block, but like Alien, oh my god, like what a beautiful film
Yeah.
from Ridley Scott. And it's but it definitely I do gravitate more towards that sort of dirty rawness, and again where that ambition may not it's all right there. But yeah, and I'm sorry, was there a second part to that question as well too? I
And how do
no,
you
no,
how do you approach that in your own work? As you said, you talked about your
yeah.
writing and etc. And about your life, how do you approach the weird in your life? Do you seek it? Uh, even like watching those movies, or you seeking any other part of your life, any other kind of weird experiences that
Yeah.
you can relate to this, this love of this uh rough made things.
Yeah. It's I mean, in terms of like to to my life, I feel that it's oh, I definitely feel like what I'm doing in terms of RPG, in terms of the art making, in terms of like my own drawings as well too, which were some were in the early Mystic Punk zine, and like there will be my own artwork in the new core rulebook
Yeah.
coming out. But it's
Yeah, I
um
see very relatable, like this aesthetic of low budget movies, and
yeah.
with the early zines, it's very much like it's handmade. It's not perfect. You have like scratches. If you
Hmm.
miss something, you just scratch and write afterwards. It's great. It's very relatable, and yeah.
Yeah, I want that immediate experience, and I think it talks to the product itself, it being a zine. So like
Mm-hmm.
by nature those things are rough and tumble and quick and dirty. So I guess I'm selling out because I mean no, do it. No,
It's
like
great, great.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's awesome.
yeah.
The where it like Mystic Punks is going now, and like it still has that 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 dirty DIY B movie gore flavor, that it's still all there. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
still absolutely there. Yeah, but is there absolutely like a more polishedness to it? Absolutely, for sure. And
Yeah.
that's not and again, like I don't discount that or think that like, oh no, it's like no,
No,
I
it's a
embrace that.
different phase. Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
different phase. It's absolutely a different phase. It's about like how it goes in. I mean, I think I explained about my creative practice for that, and like how I do it for when I'm writing and in my art. But as far as like in like day to day in life, it's I don't know like how much it goes into that, but it's like I try to keep positive as much as I possibly can, especially in the world that we're currently living in. So, and I find like it becomes super like if this is if this is something that I can share as a creator uh with everyone, and if that brings them like happiness, and that storytelling can unlock like a weird thing in them, then I feel like I've been successful for sure. It's because yeah, like I said, there's just so much I think in this world that can get us down in so much darkness, that I feel like we have a responsibility to a certain extent to be that positiveness, to be that light, to sort of show that hey, weird is good. we can we can do this, and we can be yeah, super awesome together. Oh man,
Yeah.
that was really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. And have you always been this way? Have you always been positive and trying to be like a beacon of light? And then if you did, or even if you don't, how did you learn to be this way? Because like I'm remembering something that happened today. You know,
Mm,
uh, I woke up with my kid, and I have this rule: like if we wake up, you can't see TV for at least 30 minutes after we wake up. So
mm,
what he does is like he wakes up and he goes, Alexa, 30 minutes, and he go plays with on his room, and he plays with Legos, and sometimes the 30 minutes passes and he continues playing, and that's great. But sometimes he doesn't do anything. He just lays down on the sofa waiting for the 30 minutes because it's a room. And but
that's great. I need to do that with my
and
children.
yeah. And he was watching TV. I said, "Oh, keep watching. I will do breakfast, and after the breakfast, we will go
Mm,
do homework." And
mm,
we ate breakfast, and we were going to do homework, but he grabbed the TV, forgetting we're doing homework, and said, "No,
yeah,
we are going to do homework." And then he immediately said, "Oh, God damn it," or something like this.
yeah,
Like a curse word or fuck it. I don't remember exactly.
sure, sure.
And I said, "What? Why? What's going on? Didn't we talk? Didn't we, made an accord or something?" And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but I'm upset and blah blah blah. Yeah, I know you're
Mm-hmm.
upset. I'm totally understandable. I would be upset too if I wanted to do something. But why are you talking like this? Like he learned. What I'm saying, like you don't see me or your mother
Mm-hmm.
saying this when we're doing something we don't want. How? Why are you saying this? Why are you learning? He's learning from my parents, of course. I know it, and he says, "Yeah, I'm learning from grandma and grandpa." Uh, yeah, I know. But do you think it's nice when you do that? When you see them doing this, do you think it's good? Yeah, no. Do you think it helped? Do you feel better? And I started asking this, and
Yeah.
then I ask you, when you grow up, do you want to be more like grandpa and grandma, or more like mother and father? And yeah, like so it's like this because when something bad happens, it's very easy for us to say, yeah, fuck it, and get super angry, and it
Mm-hmm.
spreads the negativity around, and things
Yes.
get worse
Yeah.
because it would be very simple for me. And he says, "Oh, let's do homework." I say, "Yeah, fuck it." And what you're saying to me? Who are you? Would very easy. My parents would immediately do that, and things would escalate, right? So it's it's an effort to be positive. It's something I would say, right?
Absolutely. I think, yeah, you really hit it on the head because it is a constant effort, and and it doesn't mean that we can't give into that negativity or have the
Well, we
feelings.
do. It
Oh, we do.
happens. It's
Yeah, we're not
inevitable. We're
listeners.
not
I am not a
infallible.
saint.
Yeah,
Yeah, I am not. Yeah, I am
yeah.
not a
Like
saint at
I
all.
love
So,
one book I read about raising, like being like this
mm,
positive caretaker and etc.
hmm.
Like psychologists wrote the book, but like in the last chapter is a chapter about moments we failed. Like they telling everything they're teaching you. They say we're parents too, and here are the moments we failed too. So yeah, it's possible not to. Like we learn all these things, but yeah, it's of course we will screw up too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just like it's a learning process. I think like it's it's one of the things that when I was growing up and like I realized in my late teens, for me anyways, for my late teens, I was like, oh, my parents don't have the answers to everything. Like my parents, and I think like it wasn't necessarily an idolization, but it was a realization that like, oh, they just don't know. And I think it becomes super important to sort of break that much earlier to like to my children. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
am, yeah, yeah, I'm not perfect. So we're learning this together. I don't have all the answers, but what I do have is love and support, and I'm here to help you through this. And of course, I will fail, and I will, like, if I raise my voice, I will try my best not to do so the next time. But yeah, it is tough. And like I'll be honest, like I never like my wife and I, we didn't think we were going to become parents, and then we started much, you know, much, much I guess is considered more normal now, but much later, like in our late
Yeah.
30s. And now like we're like, yeah, let's have another one. Like and then here where we are. It's but I yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. So like it's I don't know if it's so much about being like a beacon of light. Like I'm a cleric, I'm a paladin in
Yeah.
terms of
No, I mean,
that. Like,
my
but
question was how when did you had the insight like being this way? Because I wasn't like this.
yeah, I mean I feel like I've always been even pre-children like pretty empathetic. And like so that's a that's a quality that I was lucky, you know, very lucky enough to have. Not, I mean, I
Mm,
think that's something that you're born with, but I think it's also something that's nurtured as well too from
yeah.
external factors, so from family and friends. Um, it's I
Did you
think it
learn
just
it from someone in your family or someone that was close to
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
that
From
you
I would
learned this
yeah,
from?
yeah, yeah. I would say like both my mother and my father, like they like it was definitely generationally. I mean, it's much, of course, it's much different in terms of certain types of love, but that love was there. But that
Yeah,
empathy,
yeah.
that empathy was also very much present as well too. And like it was raised in a household where you you really tried to like take a step back and then and begin to try to assess the situation. Not all the
Mm,
times, like not all the times it worked, but yeah,
yeah,
but yeah, it was less about like like less on hatred, more on try of like understanding, you know, and like try to sort of quelch
that's
those things and
great.
try, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Not again, not always successful, but we, you know, we're up just tried our
yeah,
best. Yeah, yeah.
of course.
But for my, yeah, for me, just putting a head on, like putting a pin on it, like especially coming through, like I think it's always been a part of me, but especially being teaching in public schools and teaching in universities and having these individuals come up, these students come up to me with extremely specific, pardon me, issues or concerns, medical, family, whatever. It was absolutely like, yeah, we don't know everyone's situation. So having that empathy and having that sort of grace to be like yeah, let's talk about this, let's move on. And it just sort of went, I will admit this, like at the end of the day after having some of those conversations with students, and then my kids come up to me, I'm
Yeah,
a little bit I'm a little bit burnt out, but no, you make it work out. But no, I've been pretty fortunate to just like, yeah, continue with that mindset. Yeah, I mean, there's always room for improvement, but there's also room for forgiveness too. I find
oh
myself
yeah.
sometimes being hypercritical of myself, like why aren't I
Mm-hmm.
doing, like why can't I be better? That's the that may be the Catholicism yoga. It's going like why can't I be better? They're recovering
Yeah.
Catholic. Yeah, it's um uh but it yeah, that aside, I think forgiveness of ourselves is super important as well too. I mean, it's so we can move on, and still be productive. Heavy
Yeah,
questions. I love it. I love it.
yeah, yeah. Can we dig more into that? Like you're saying
Mm,
hypercritical. What are more, if you want to share, like what are more
mm.
critical about yourself and something that you forgave yourself with? What was it, and how did you manage to be more forgiving about yourself? I know, especially
Mm,
I don't know if it happens to you being creative. If you is always demanding to be more creative, to be producing more, to be like
hmm.
working more, and if you learn how to even keep being productive but also being more understanding that productivity is not a very scalable thing, and sometimes these things will vary. How do you do with that hypocritical, and how did you learn how to go a little bit beyond that?
Yeah. Can I just say my wife, and can we say next? No, no, it's like next question. My wife all the way. No, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, but my wife is. It's. I think it's always good, and I'm very fortunate in this to have a partner to have these discussions with as well
Oh
too,
yeah,
especially as having somebody that's another artist to vibe off one another and to share our anxieties. And I guess listeners, like it's like it doesn't end like I'm 46 and there's still insecurities that that
oh
that
yeah. I think
happens.
it
Yeah,
never goes away. I think that's yeah,
absolutely. It's about how you're coping with it and how you're dealing with it. But
yeah,
I guess why I'm bringing that up is like I remember like naively thinking in my early 20s, like, oh, when I'm 40, it'll all be figured out. It's like, nope, not,
yeah.
not at all. It but yeah,
You,
being I am hypercritical, and I think like that's always a double-edged sword. Like you're
yeah.
always, yeah, like it's like
That was
what
something
drives you.
else I was gonna ask you.
Hmm.
Like, even though it's bad, is also something that kind of pushes us a little bit in a way,
Yeah,
right?
that's I think like what like I would imagine like that's what drives a lot of artists. Like how can I can like let me to keep let me to keep continuing, let me keep trying to improve. Like like what becomes the next, what's the
Yeah.
next thing. um yeah, and there's certain things like where, like, I would, like, looking back now, just in hindsight, it's, I would take breaks, and I would, so like where I would be, for example, like early 2000, I'm sorry, like 2010, 13, to like 13, 14, I had a little bit of success with comics. I was published in a few anthologies. And it was very gratifying. It wasn't taking off to the level that I thought it would, that I wanted it to go to, and that, yeah, that was frustrating. So I shelved it. I was just like, I don't think like this is working for me right now. And then when I came back, it came back, and it took on the form of Mystic Punks as well. So it's like just showing like where it, I guess what I'm getting at is like having that tenacity, and like being able to sort of stepping back and saying like, okay, if something isn't necessarily working right now, it's okay to quote unquote take a break. It's okay to sort of like uh focus on you, or focus on other things. I was also fortunate enough, like, to have that same job,
Mm-hmm.
working at the university. So um yeah, I'm sympathetic to that as well too. If like other individuals are like, no, this is a, I have to do this. This is my
Yeah.
lifeblood, and like, yeah, so, but yeah, it's y- for me to take, being able to do those things, and it is hard to put in, now to put in a little bit more of breaks. I haven't done it recently, but where now it's becoming very humbled by all the success and support that I'm getting from Mystic Punks. It's an amazing feeling, and like right from that, I feel extremely successful. It's just like period, full stop.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is important to also take a step back, like, to be like, oh, let's rest, let's assess like what to move on, and what would the next thing be. Like for me, I know it'll still be with an RPG, still expanding Mystic Punks to something else, to make it hopefully larger. But also, it's like you can't keep going. You're just gonna burn out. Like it's just like,
Yeah.
I can't, I can't make hits all the time. So you need to take a step back from that. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you rest from creativity? Do you, because you said you love creating, and one
Mm-hmm.
one thing I noticed for me, that maybe even though if I'm not creating something for publication, I have to be
Mm,
making creating something in a way.
mm.
Otherwise, I would feel bad. Like I don't know.
Oh,
It's kind of therapy in a way. In a way, I don't know. I
sure.
have to put my creativity to use in some way, like put those ideas out. and
Mm,
and you mentioned taking a break in 2010 or something, and
yeah.
Mystic Punk is in 2016. So
Mm-hmm.
between this time, even though not writing anything for publication, did you, how did you engage with your creativity, or you're totally comfortable in just letting it, rest for a long while?
Yeah. I mean, it's taking pleasure in, like for me, which isn't a very difficult thing, and just sort of daily things. So uh it's so during that time specifically, like 2014, that's like, I'd say 2000, yeah, 13, 14 to like 2016 is when that I wasn't really doing any type of comic work. um uh like I still would want to be actively, at least, engaging in some type of research, or what I would consider research. So yeah, I mean, let's dive more into trash films. Like, which I think, like, it's like, oh, Anthony watched movies. It's like, yeah, that's research. It's like, I feel, because I knew that I would maybe be like writing notes here or there, but it was super interesting to just like take, like what, like, develop more of like a cinematic vocabulary, regardless of like what it was, B movies, etc., whatever, and like having those, like really dissecting those films, and then taking like or what I would do, take that lore or putting my own
Mm-hmm.
flavor in it into my own writing. So like keeping that as research, and also reading as well too. Like
Yeah, yeah,
it'd be between, sure, some fiction, but also nonfiction. I'm doing that right now. I mean, I think it's really important for artists to have a bevy of influences. Like
yeah,
it's great to, and again, not to slight anyone. Like if you know if you're on this corridor, and if it's like, well, one track thing, sure, awesome. But I just think like to keep your mind stimulated, and to keep to just see how what other individuals are thinking, or just like other modes of thought, or just like what happened.
yeah,
Like I'm just like, for example, like I never like I'm reading an account on the Civil War, the first one of the first groups of snipers in the the American Civil War, like real accounts, and I was like, oh, let's dive into that. Like, and
yeah,
it's like these very personal stories of this Massachusetts regiment of sharpshooters, and it's very fascinating from that historical standpoint. Like, will it work its way into like RPG? I don't know, but it doesn't hurt, right? It doesn't hurt to like
yeah,
have these broad influences. Yeah.
yeah. And I think there is a way that people talk about how this, I think it's the artist's rest, which is this
Mm,
rest that's not only, doing nothing. It's
mm,
studying, it's, growing in a way, right?
mm-hmm.
Researching and, uh, and as game designers and artists, it's very important, as you said, like seeking influence from everywhere. I think it's very enriching because
Mm-hmm.
uh, that great saying that I love, it's from one thing learn 1,000 things. So you can study very different things, and from these things you can incorporate something for what you like to do. Like I was, studying fiction, and there is this
Mm,
saying that when you're writing a short story, you can imagine the short story as the last chapter of a novel. So
mm-hmm.
it's a great way to see that. And I was
Yeah.
thinking maybe when writing like a one shot adventure, you can imagine it as the last adventure of a long epic campaign too, and
Yeah.
write it in that way.
Oh, I
Uh,
love that. Oh, yeah, that's awesome. And that's exactly to that point that you made. It's like, it's just like, it's just it's keeping you engaged as well
yeah,
too. It's like, and I think like that, and it doesn't have to be like something that's entirely fully fledged, or rendered, or whatever you want to call it. It's just another thing that you can go on to. So
yeah.
that's great. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Do you have any kind of creative ritual? Anything you engage it before you start working on your art or on your writing that helps you get into the mood and have the creative juices flowing?
Well, I mentioned the Luigi cup of coffee in the morning, so there's
Yeah.
absolutely that. Uh, yeah, right? Uh, not right now, but like
Did
sometimes
you
when,
had?
yeah. When, yeah, I don't. One thing that I cannot do, what that I will say that I can't do for when I'm writing, like I if other writers can do this, like my hat's off to them. If they can listen to music while they write, that's great. I can't. I have to have total silence. Like I'll usually have my headphones on, noise canceling, just so I can sort of be in my own head. For
Even
that,
like music with no lyrics, like
I can't
instrumental
do it.
music?
No, I can't
Oh.
do it. Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it at all. I just it's yeah, I don't know why. Now that's not the truth. That's not the same though for when I draw. I have to have music on. I have to have like, yeah,
Mm.
so it's so yeah, uh yeah, I'll just whatever the mood takes me. Like I'm so music is definitely when I'm doing artwork. Like yeah, like I said, for a lot of for all the drawings I did in the new Mystic Punks book, it's like there's definitely a soundtrack there that and or what I'm doing. I don't know if this is showing my middle agedness or not, but or I'll have podcasts on in the
Yeah.
background as well too. But I'm going more towards like, and this is definitely feeding into, here's a ritual. Yeah, when I'm drawing, and if I've been listening to this podcast called QAnon Anonymous, and it deals with conspiracy theories. It originally dealt with. Are you familiar with QAnon? What happened in?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
This podcast would debunk, obviously, just insanity associated with QAnon. Thankfully, for better, for better for sure, uh QAnon isn't as much here in America. I think it's still here, but it's not as prevalent. The podcast has shifted to more like other conspiracy, like historical conspiracy theories, and like it's just the whole world of, like, speaking of research, like like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
drawing, I'm listening, I'm like, I didn't know about that. Like, what is this? Like, this is a,
Very
like,
gameable stuff too.
very gameable stuff, like UFO cults. It's just one I'm listening to right now. I'm like, this is fascinating. So, yeah, it's like one. It's I'm like, as far as like a pre-ritual or pre-game, nah, not so much. I like to dive in. I like to dive in and just like see where it sort of takes me. And the same also with drawing, but obviously, like, for drawing, I have to have like some type of music or podcast going on in the background.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the, we're talking about influences, and one thing
Hmm.
I love asking guests, if maybe you have maybe an artist or a creator who have influenced you, maybe you took as a mentor for the way they approach the work or the way
Mm.
they act in the scene. Do you have anyone that helped you model the way you are as an artist, as a creator, and what did you learn from them?
Wow, that's a great question. That's a heavy question. It's a I think I can answer that more in terms of that artists that I just always look up to. Like, I don't know if I've necessarily modeled myself after them.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, but it's like it's a uh Mobius
look up
for
to,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, like, yeah, uh
Mobius, yeah.
Jodorowsky, uh
Who?
um Alejandro, Jodorowsky.
Ah,
Am I mispronounce? I may be mispronouncing that. I'm sorry,
I
listeners, if
don't
I
know.
mispronounce. It's like the Inkle, like that. It's but also his films like El Topo, Holy Mountain. Uh, geez, now I have to look over at my. I'm looking at my comics right here. Like, I have like all of which is just a small sect of, like, because, like, there's just so there's just so many. Oh, of course not. Oh, I don't. These are Toku, like Common Rider. Like, always a big fan of Tokatsu, if I'm pronouncing that right too. Like, this is
Oh
like
yeah,
the eternal fight of evil, of good against evil. Like, that's because I think that when I'm writing, I I always imagine there is, even though you're an outsider and you're a punk, you're still like the hero. And like, I still believe in good triumphing over evil. And I think that archetype is, I mean, not only is it timeless, but I do think it's sort of important, as well too. Trying to think of other ones. Oh, like I said, John Byrne, uh like especially his 70s run on X-Men. um who else? Alex Toth, for sure, amazing. Just, his Black Canary is just so
Alex
awesome.
who?
Oh, well, Alex Toth, Toth.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Alex, yeah. Um, his beautiful, beautiful, just like such simple yet complicated line work, like, just so wonderful. Like, especially, like I said, his Black Canary. Um, oh, just a whole bevy of 80s manga, like, who uh creators of the Fist of the North Star. always love. Of course, Akira. Like, yeah, it's all those. It's just too many.
Too
It's too
many,
many
yeah.
to too many to list. But I will say this. Like, if I have to have like give a specific, like sort of like guide and like who I looked up to in terms of the way that Mystic Punks was formed, it's the cartoonist Charles Forsman, uh, who did he did the comic The End of the Fucking World, which was developed into a Netflix uh,
Mm,
series. And what's I think so amazing, and what I still tell my students to this about this is that The End of the Fucking World started as like just a dollar zine, like it was just simple photocopied, like, and it was like so lo-fi but high output, and it was just such an amazing piece of uh, comic art that I think it was just sort of destined to become like what it was, and like, and to see, and so when I tell students like, and I have these zines, and then to see like where it it eventually came into like a Netflix series,
yeah,
it just was it's like students like, wait, what, this started as a zine? I'm like, yeah. Because I
yeah,
think sometimes that students or people starting out in our field are like, they want the immediate satisfaction that like, it's like, let's, like, okay, give me the Marvel movie. I'm working on the Avengers right now, right? Give me that. It's like, no, 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 no. It's
yeah,
like, we're not. So like, yeah, I will say that the first Mystic Punk zines were modeled after that. It's like, yeah, let's make a zine. Let's just put it out. Let's see what happens. Not much different than what I did
yeah.
before, but like, I think like definitely more focus. So I don't know if Charles will ever hear this, but thank you, Chuck. That was big inspiration.
Yeah, yeah, awesome.
Hello, wonderful weirdos. This is Diogo Nogueira again, and today I'd like to talk to you about one of my favorite games, a game that I created. And you know, if you listen to the podcast, I love dinosaurs, and it's called Primal Quest. It is a weird stone and sorcery adventure game. It's a NSR game, which is this game that caters to the old school style of play, but has more modern and more cinematic gameplay adapted to our modern sensibilities. It has adventures with dinosaurs, ancient civilizations, spirity, sorcery, aliens, elder gods, and much, much more. It's very pulpy. It has, a complete rule set, a mini hex scroll, an adventure introductory adventure. You can find it at Exalted Funeral, itch.io, Drive-Thru RPG, and your best local game store. And we're releasing more and more stuff for it, so stay tuned and play Primal Quest. So let's get back to the weird with our chat.
And talking about Mystic Punks, you already said we're gonna have a Kickstarter starting soon in March. And one thing I always love asking guests is, what is the weirdest thing from Mystic Punks, and your favorite thing from it too, from this project that is launching soon?
The weirdest thing. Uh, like, just anything from Mystic Punks. That's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, the weirdest
Yeah,
thing, and then your favorite thing, and then we talk a little bit about the project, what people
yeah,
are
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna I'm gonna
expecting for it.
I'm gonna combine the two. I think the
Okay,
weirdest thing is the bestiary that we have going
okay,
in there. I'm really proud of the bestiary. Jay Domingo and I really worked hard. We worked hard over the entire book, but I think for the bestiary, it's super special because I think we're just sort of firing on all cylinders, having some super weird monsters for y'all to fight and engage with. Maybe not fight, maybe talk to. That's a part of Mystic Punks too. Like, you could be nonviolent as well too, and
yeah,
just maybe resolve these situations peacefully. But I don't know if that would happen so much with some of like the elder gods in there. But that said, you can have you could definitely try. But yeah, those like that would be the weirdest thing. But yeah, that I think is one of my more favorite things too. I'd also say like another favorite thing would be, um, I mean, Jay's layout is, I've already seen it. It's like, it's already going to be, it will be my favorite thing. But I also like just all the spells that we have in there too, as well. So it's like a lot of where you have fun with magic. I mean, like DCC, magic is raw. Magic is uncontrollable, and we sort of, we don't quite have it in that same DCC vein, but it's like we definitely try to emulate the just hey, magic can be dangerous, and but you still want it. You still want to have that power.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah,
And yeah, tell us a little bit about the project. Mystic Punks is
sure.
becoming an RPG now and launching now in March. And what can people get there in the
Yeah,
project?
no, sure, yeah. It's a, so like I said, the Kickstarter is launching on March 20th. And there's going to be three main or I'm sorry, four main tiers for this. We'll have a digital tier
Yeah.
that would have
This is
just like,
probably releasing around the launch or maybe a little couple of days afterwards or something like this. Yeah.
oh yeah, okay,
Oh
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah, it's
And links will be on the show notes too. So if you're
awesome.
weirdo are listening to this, look on the show notes for the link and go back. Mystic Punks. Yeah.
Cool, cool. Yeah, uh, yeah. You could get just a PDF of the core rulebook. We're hoping like the core rulebook will be. I mean, we're still in that development phase, but we're looking between like maybe 200 to 250 pages. So it's gonna be a big one.
Yeah.
You could also get, if you want to, the core rulebook, the physical copy. It'll be hardback. Ben Mara did the cover for it. Fantastic cartoonist. Super stoked to have him involved. Very, very honored to have him involved. Um, you'll also be able to get, in addition to the core rulebook, a game master screen designed by the Spanish artist Paul Eduardo, which is his work is phenomenal, mind melting. And then what we're also working on, which Giogo, we're so honored to have you part of, we're gonna have uh, adventure books come out, three separate volumes, and you're included obviously in one of those volumes. So those are
Yeah. I'm
coming out as
excited.
well too. Yeah, we have so many amazing. Like, let me just real quick talk about the artists that we have, and the writers that we have. Like I said, Ben Mara, Paul Eduardo, Tia Roche is just absolutely wow. Nathan Terstiga is back. He did the cover for the Quick Start Rules, and he's back with some just amazing work. Original artist Mike Knoppers, who did the cover for the collected edition, he's back as well too. Mike always killer. Zach Zach Hazard Valpin, who's been just, I've known Zach for for I think going on like 15 years now, and just to see like where his work has been going, has always is just always a treat. Um, David Hoskins is going to be in there as well too. Um, uh, Joda Cravo, Sally Cantorino, who is has listeners may know that like of her work from other EF releases, but she also did the covers for Trial at Wendard's and The Crypt, Mystic Punk's
Mm-hmm.
adventures. So she's there as well too. Shout out to my wife. She has some work in there too. She's doing some border
Awesome.
in there. So very cool to see that. It definitely adds it like a very unique uh, uh, eye to it. Andrew Tiger Wizard from Epic Levels is in there. He's doing it as well too. We got to get you in there for like maybe a later release. Yeah, I want your artwork in there for
Yeah.
later. Really, I need that. But yeah, as far as writers, like I said, Giogo's obviously there. We have Levi Combs from Planet X Games, John Hambone McGuire from 321 Action and Vintage
Mm-hmm.
RPG, Joey Royale from Get Haunted Industries.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like it's great, and
a
yeah,
great crew. Yeah,
yeah, thank you. Yeah, and again, like it's so humbling. It's just so awesome to see like where this is all going. So we're
yeah,
super excited, and we're hoping that, and we're pretty confident that people are going to love this. But yeah, we're super stoked on it.
yeah. Well, at least people make are having a lot of fun, with a lot of great names and a great
Hmm.
crew, and yeah, it looks fantastic. I'm excited
Yeah,
to see it.
cool.
Yeah. Uh, Sorry. Do you have any other hobbies, besides role playing games, and that you engage maybe creatively, just for your own sake?
Uh, right now, no, no. Like here, something really red hot, everyone. It's like I'm doing more crosswords to try to like, but it's like uh, I'm not real. No, it's like it's I feel like to a
Yeah,
certain extent, I'm
having a
feeling like I'm.
job, being a parent, and then writing games. Where do you gonna have time for another hobby? I mean, come on.
I mean, I feel like I'm sort of living the dream already, though, right? So
Yeah.
it's like I have an amazing family. I'm doing something that I absolutely love, and yeah, and I'm getting awesome comics in all the time
Yeah.
too, and awesome role playing stuff. And I actually got this as well. It's because I'm thinking of you and your sci-fi love. Are you familiar with like the journaling game Notorious
Oh
of like the
yeah,
death?
yeah.
Yeah,
Notorious.
yeah, I got
Yes.
yeah. Like the Star Wars influence is
Yeah.
amazing.
Right here.
On the oh, there it is. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just got that in, and it's like
And the art is incredible too. Yeah.
it's really beautiful. So yeah, good, amazing work, Jason Price. Like yeah, this is really cool. So it's like yeah, I feel like I win. I feel like it's all good. It's all great. So yeah, it just take it one day at a time as well too. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean
And
I would be I'd be just remiss not to say like and like all of this is super possible too from Exalted Funeral as well too. Like they've had the faith of just like of believing in Mystic Punks and really getting it out there too. So yeah, so for Matt and Kristen and that entire crew, like nothing but eternal love too.
yeah, yeah. I watch them too, and I love their work and what they're doing
Hmm.
for their hobby and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Anthony, what would you say
Hmm.
would be the weirdest game you ever played? And it can be RPG or video games, or do you actually play games with some regularity, or how
Yeah.
is game playing with you
Uh,
nowadays?
I I mean, yeah. Everything has been pretty Mystic Punks, but it's like if a weird game that I've played recently. Um, hmm, that would now I'm thinking about like back in my youth. I would say the weirdest game I've ever played, like to this day, that probably is burned in my memory is Operation. Yeah, do you know of Operate? It's like where you
Yeah,
like
yeah,
stick the it's like not an RPG, like not really even it's not a board game. It's just I think the anxiety that it induces in someone is actually a little bit unhealthy. So, and the minor shock that
yeah,
you get, it's like I think that that is by far one of the weirdest games that that absolutely left a mark on me. I mean honestly, the last time that I've played like the I haven't been to a con since Gary Con last year, and I played uh uh the uh, the last weird game I played was DCC, which was awesome. It was about kaiju, and it was somebody did like wrote a kaiju adventure. I'm sorry, Hector. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the name. Oh no, Hector. I'm so sorry if you're listening to this. I'll have
well,
to.
you
I'll
got
put the link.
Hector.
Yeah, yeah,
That's great.
yeah. Yeah.
That's
Uh,
well half of the work. That's
yeah, yeah. It's he wrote this amazing kaiju adventure, and it was super weird. And it's like I wasn't like I knew there was kaiju in it, but I didn't know like how they were gonna sort of work it into the fantasy world. So it went from it definitely went from high fantasy to sci-fi. Really nice. So it was sort of
yeah.
awesome in that regard. Yeah. So that was that. I would say outside of Mystic Punks, like that was like the next weirdest thing. But that's been a while. Like yeah, I've just been running a Mystic Punks game with my gaming crew, and just doing everything working on Mystic Punks in general. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Hmm.
And we are almost an hour and a half in, and
Hmm.
now, if you allow me, I want to ask a little bit more personal questions, not necessarily
Mm.
related to gaming. And since you talked about being raised Catholic,
Hmm.
and how is this for you now? How is religion and spirituality? And do you have anything of this? This is it helpful for you in any way, or do you have any kind of philosophy that helps you,
Mm.
navigate life and the tough moments in life, and whatever it is that you do that helps you? Talk a little bit about that, and where
Mm.
you draw that, where you learn uh, that from.
Sure, sure. Yeah. It's yeah, I am not a practicing Catholic anymore. That is but yeah, I was yeah, raised and confirmed in Catholicism. I have many
Do you
different
believe in God? Or
yeah, oh, there we go. There we go. There's the question.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I
Let's go straight to it. Do you?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you just really hit it there. You hit it there. No, I love it. It's I don't. How about this? It's not maybe it's agnostic, but it's I don't know, but I would like to think there is some greater thing out there. Some I mean what I'm afraid of, which is probably going to happen, is that there's just the empty void, Giogo. But it's
Yeah.
that's what I'm afraid of. That there's nothing. But then again, it's like I guess it makes
Well,
if
but I
that
mean,
is
why would we be afraid of there is nothing? Because if there is nothing,
oh
it doesn't make a difference, right?
you're right,
Like,
right.
you'll be dead anyway.
Right. You solved it. This is by the way the best therapy session I've had in a while. Thank you. So yeah, I mean no, that's obviously a very good point. But I mean yeah, it's like I think I as, as being human, yeah, I think I mean and especially getting I'm not old but getting up there it's like more and having a family and having young children like mortality plays into it like for sure like
Yeah, yeah.
especially where it definitely didn't in my 20s or like or even I'd say to a certain extent to my early 30s it just um it was much more it wasn't completely carefree but it was yeah, it's there's a there's obviously a lot more at stake. So I mean, yeah, it's is do I believe in God? That it's yeah, it's too easy to say yes or no, I guess. It's like I guess the bigger question the bigger answer would be like I don't know, but I hope if there is there's some type of again uh positivity that we could see through like all the mess and all the darkness and like and how like yeah like I said I'm not practicing any type of religion I'm not a I don't
Mm-hmm.
consider myself extremely spiritual but I think like again like just going back to what we touched on before it's important just to be good to one another and good to yourself like regardless of wherever an individual is coming from. But that said, I definitely have very I'm very much like anti-fascist and anti racist, and it's like than anti-homophobic. It's like these are things that I feel very strongly about, and it's like these are things that are it's important as to recognize that these are things that we have to work together as people
Mm-hmm.
to really come together and have that inclusivity over. And I'm hoping, like, I don't know how much Mystic Punks is doing that, but I would also hope that in my job that I'm able to give a little bit of comfort to my students and to those individuals that I work with, to sort of, at the end of the day, they can be like, "Hey, Anthony is a good guy. Like he's there to help. He's there
Yeah.
to help me out." So I'm hoping that's it. Yeah. Heavy,
Yeah.
heavy, man. This is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the stuff. And you talk about doing therapy, and
Hmm.
one of the reasons I ask about religion, spirituality, or philosophy is about the tough moments in life. I suffer
Mm,
from anxiety, but everybody has tough moments, and sometimes you have some resource that
hmm.
helps you navigate these moments. For me, I was raised Catholic too, but for me nowadays it is stoicism. Philosophically, I read a lot about
Mm.
this, and kind of helps me out with anxiety and stuff, and also being a parent too.
Mm.
And what I wanted to ask you is that, do you have anything like this, any teachings, any kind of philosophy, even if it's still something you learned through to Catholicism, or anything that you learned maybe from your wife. I know you talk about that, and my wife is a lot like a guide to me too. She has helped me and taught me so much. But I mean, do you have anything like, she got it? This she got for me. Now she has a tattoo on her arm that says,
Oh.
"This too shall pass." It's something like
Oh
from Stoicism,
yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. I don't know if I have any philosophies that, or like, that that I follow, that, like, from other individuals, but I would there are certain things that I do that I feel that are able to center myself. Like, I do, like, as far as, like, I try to, when things get a little bit, when I'm too anxious, or I'm feeling like I'm too much in my own head, like, I try to meditate a little bit. Like, I try to do uh some breathing exercises, or just but I also find that is one thing that really, if this is a philosophy at all for me, I love to run. I love to go run. So I think exercise, my wife jokes, and she's like, whenever you're hot, you're sort of hot and bothered, it's like I just see you take off and you go for a run to, like, work it all out. And it's true. It's like
Yeah.
I sort of like that exhausted feeling coming back from exercise or from a run. Um, but yeah, it's yeah, I don't, like, I have read some philosophers, some Western, some Eastern, but I've never, like, dove quite into it. Not saying that I'm not interested in those things. It's just that I can I chalk this up to being a parent again? Like, no, I did. So
Yeah,
so
yeah. Well, of
yeah,
course, yeah. But
it's
you run, and do you run with
yeah.
any regularity? Do you
Yeah.
practice or exercise with any regularity? Because
Y-
that's
y-
that's something that helps a lot too.
yeah, I do. Yeah, I was on the treadmill today. Gym is very close. Weather was horrible today in Richmond, so it's like I do like running outside in au natural. Like, no, whoops, that makes it sound like I'm running naked. No, running out in nature.
Yeah. In
Yeah,
the
it's a
cold, when
in the
snowing, just
yeah,
go naked, and it's
yeah,
very
right.
refreshing.
It's
Reactivates all your veins. You
yeah,
know.
very yeah, everything's great, super slick too. No, it's a but yeah, it's I try to
I
I
do hear
try
all
to
the time. Every time that snows here in
Oh, you
Rio,
do?
I
Oh, wow.
just go run naked.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
no. No, you're
because
pulling
it
my
never,
leg.
it never snows here, so that's
Yeah,
why.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
it's real.
That's crazy. Yeah, I tried to go anywhere between 3 to 5 times a week to keep up
Awesome. Yeah.
with that. Yeah. I mean, it's also like health wise as well. It's like I think at middle age came on fast for me. So it's I definitely, like, I don't smoke anymore. Like, I used to smoke a lot. Like, I haven't had a cigarette now in like 13 years or something like that. Um, I don't drink nearly as much either. I do enjoy an occasional drink here and there, but yeah, it's just all these things that you're just sort of have to take a little bit better care of yourself as as you get
Yeah.
older, physically and mentally. So it's like these things just become, I mean, super important. If obviously not only for myself, but just for like the family as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Everybody, I would say.
Hmm.
And
Sure.
you mentioned meditation,
Hmm.
and one thing I ask people here too is about maybe weird experiences they might have had. So I ask if they ever had,
Mm.
any experience with altered states of awareness, even through deep states of meditation,
Oh,
trances, hypnosis, or even the use of psychedelics, and if they
yeah.
had, and how did the experience affect them, or if they were managed to learn anything from it, or grow from it in any way, or if not, how did it affect them in any way? Did you ever
No.
had any of these experiences yourself?
No, I've never had a, sorry, listeners, I've never had an acid trip, so so
Well,
I
it's
don't.
you don't have
uh,
to be sorry for that.
no,
It's
no, no.
yeah.
No, but one, it's interesting you ask that, because in certain, like, it doesn't happen all the time, but if I'm definitely in the right state of mind with doing certain meditations, and if it's guided meditation, like, I do use an app, um and for one of these guided meditations, it's the visualization of sort of like a warm queer a warm clear liquid, like, filling you from the top of your head, and it starts to fill up from the bottom of your feet, going all the way up your body. If if I'm in that right mindset, if I'm really really focusing on that filling up, like, body is a vessel, essentially, I can absolutely, or what my senses are telling me, I'm feeling that warmth, and I'm feeling and it's like, and which is, I think, to a certain extent, like, a little bit going going back to the exorcist, a little bit scary. It feels like a little bit otherworldly as well
Yeah.
too. So it's like a little bit like, but I think it's also just understanding, like, the guided meditation app is also really good in terms of, like, saying, like, this is a normal process as well too, and,
Yeah.
like, this is to feel that. So yeah, that would be the closest. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I haven't had any weird, like, out of body experiences or anything like that. But again, like, the podcast that I'm listening to right now, about that, it's like,
Yeah.
these are fascinating, where people are having these near death experiences, and they're talking about the light at the end of the tunnel, and, like, seeing these loved ones. It's like, I'm always fascinated by that as well too, like, whether it's real or not, it's regardless, it's just, it's
Yeah. Well,
so
it's
great to
real
hear that.
for the person who had that
Yeah,
experience, and that's the
absolutely.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. And have you ever had any kind of supernatural experiences? Like, have you ever seen a ghost, or felt one, or seen an alien or UFO or anything like
No,
this? A
no, no,
cryptid?
no. I'm so boring. I'm so boring. No, I've never, I've never seen that. I mean, I could tell you a pretty funny, I mean, I could tell you a funny Exorcist story, but this would involve my dad. Like, if,
Sure. Yeah.
like that would be,
Yeah.
so my father, when The Exorcist came out in the 70s, he saw it at the drive-in with his cousin, and they were, uh, absolutely bombed. Like, they were pretty drunk, and when Reagan, like, gets fully possessed, they started yelling and throwing beer bottles at the screen, saying, "Get the fuck out of her body, devil!" Like, they were so upset at it. They're also really drunk.
Yeah.
At what was going on. So they were being like their own sort of like a drunk exorcist. But I've never really. I mean, maybe that's also why that I'm writing so much about horror and the supernatural. I don't know if I want any of those things to necessarily have. I don't want those things to me, but it's always sort of fascinating, like
Yeah.
to see to hear these stories, watch the movies, and to have all that.
Yeah.
So it feeds into the lore for sure. Hmm.
Yeah. But you also talked about conspiracies too. So even
Hmm.
though not the supernatural, what would you be, your favorite conspiracy, and that fascinates you more? Not necessarily that you want to be true, but something that maybe fascinates you and you like to dig into that stuff.
Oh, geez. We may have to come back to that. I have to think about that a
Yeah.
little.
Okay.
Yeah. I may have to come. Well, wait a minute. What?
Yeah. Okay.
I,
So
yeah, yeah. I'm sorry.
we
Sorry.
can we
Sorry.
can go back to that. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's all good. Like you said to. Do you dreams? Do you remember the dreams you have?
Sometimes I do. Like I've never done a dream journal. I've never done anything like that. Like some of the dreams. Yeah. Sometimes I remember some of the dreams. Like it's really like I know when like I've been having more anxiety dreams because of the Kickstarter coming up. So
Oh
like like
yeah,
like being like speaking of being au natural, like being naked somewhere, being like
yeah.
like
I used it to have those naked at school
yeah.
dreams all the
Oh,
time.
the
Yeah.
classic. Oh, absolutely classic. Like I feel like sometimes the dreams that I remember, and I'm sure this is common with a lot of people, is that you just remember like right between that sort of twilight of waking up, and like you're still sort of a little bit asleep, but something is still like just out of the periphery, and you're sort of thinking about like, well, is that real, is that not real, and like that is usually like that gray area, and it's almost ineffable. Like you can't really necessarily, like I'm trying my best to articulate it, but it's like I think that it's to a big
Yeah.
part of it, you just can't. It's more of the feeling that um you're coming out of sleep, but you're not quite out of sleep yet.
Yeah.
But yes, as far as dreaming right now, pure anxiety dreams. Joko, pure anxiety dreams.
Can you share us one of the latest?
Oh,
What was that?
naked on a Zoom call. like it's like that like yes, I mean the go-to is being vulnerable, right? So being or like one other one, just being chastised by other, like not even anyone that I would know, like it would just be random people like walking down the
Wow.
street.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's like these are, yeah, they really sort of but yeah, they've been, I don't want to say super listeners, I'm fine. Like I'm doing okay, but it's
Yeah.
like yeah, they've been a little bit more frequent
Yeah.
now.
You mentioned about this state between being awake and
Mm-hmm.
dreaming, and I remember the stories about artists that use this artifice to get into this dream-like states to work. Like
Mm-hmm.
Salvador Dali would sleep with a spoon
Mm,
on his mouth to like try to take a nap, and when it fall down and he wake up, kind of this dream
yeah,
state and go
yeah,
paint,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
and some people try to do this. I never tried it, but I'm always super curious to try that.
I think dream journaling, like my wife has a dream journaling book. It's like one of the first books I remember.
I'm making a
Oh,
game, a dream
oh,
book journaling game for people who
oh,
can't remember their dreams. Because that's
oh,
me. I can't remember my dreams.
oh,
So I'm making a journaling game
wow.
that you feel yourself with your memories and experiences based on
Oh,
all kinds
cool.
of prompts, and then you roll and you go generate your dreams and twists, and it can get weirder. And there is rules for like lucid dreaming, so you can modify
Awesome.
stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's very cool. That's very cool. Yeah, no, the what I was gonna say about the dream journaling is because my wife was doing dream journaling like a
Yeah.
long time, like a long time ago, and she did say that actually her journaling her dreams made her dream less. Like
Oh
for her,
yeah.
so it was like so it's sort of
Wow.
interesting. Like it had like sort of a counterintuitive effect on it, and maybe because I mean we're speculating here, where maybe it's because she was being
Yeah.
analytical, but yeah, no, I sort of always found that fascinating. That sounds awesome
Yeah.
about
The
like yeah about your
knowledge.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
knowledge
yeah.
of dreams is very speculative still. It's very there's a lot we don't know yet. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
something
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
playing with in the game. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Cool, cool.
And Anthony, we're getting to the end of the show, so now it's
Hmm.
a more like more whimsical questions, more
Okay.
playful, just to know about personality and stuff. So, uh, if you could have any superpower, what superpower would you have, and why? What would be like the first thing you would do with that?
Oh, geez. I mean, I it always comes back to the X-Men. I want to be Shadowcat. I want to phase in and out of walls. And
Oh yeah,
Shadowcat's Kitty Pryde's costume was
that
awesome.
was my wife's nickname on the internet. Shadowcat.
What?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, yeah. See there, fooled
Because
you
of the
guys.
character too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, so awesome. Fooled you guys. Not doing Wolverine. Straight up Shadowcat. Let me be Shadowcat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And what would be the first thing you would do with the powers?
Oh, geez. Oh, now you are putting me on the spot. The first thing I would do with the power, I'm gonna keep this super wholesome. Um, I would, I would absolutely no, and I'm being totally honest here. I think I would have to go to like my favorite Indian restaurant and just like sneak in and eat their amazing food. Like I love chicken vindaloo so much. If they had like a lot of chicken vindaloo, I would sneak in and take it. I'd leave money. I'd leave money, but before they would be open, because this place is never open like when I want it to
Oh
be
yeah,
open. They have like weird hours, so I would be yes, I'd be the good thief. I would
yeah.
put the money down. So sneak in and get like a
Is
massive
is that like
helping.
your favorite
Mm.
dish, chicken vindaloo, or what would be?
It's up there. It absolutely is up there. I mean, uh, my wife is Chinese American, and I've over the years have just been introduced to such amazing cuisine, Chinese,
Yeah,
Cantonese cuisine. So, I mean, it's up there right with. I mean, I love chasiabos, like pork pork buns, please. But yeah, I mean, I would all food like Joga. I would say
yeah.
like I don't know, like
I
well,
love
what's
food too.
yeah,
Yeah.
what's I've never had like a traditional Brazilian meal. What would if I came down? What would you make me? What would you make me?
Feijoada,
What is
which
that?
is
What is
like
that?
which is like a big bowl of boiled beans, but we have all sorts of meats inside and sausages, with rice and farofa, which is kind of fried, powdered tapioca with
Oh my God.
bacon and sausage and grilled. I don't know. It's kind of a lettuce, but grilled and
Mm.
with slice of orange and,
Oh
and a
my
lot of
God.
pepper. It's very
Oh
good.
my. Okay, I'm looking up tickets now. I'm coming down. Like yes, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yes, yes.
yeah, and we have here what we called comida de boteco, which is like
Mm.
food from cheap bars, the bars you go
Mm.
to drink beer, uh, and it's very like small fried stuff, and it's like for snacks.
Oh
And it's
yeah.
very popular. We do all kinds of stuff here. It's
Oh
very
oh my God, I'm
very
coming.
good.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm coming. When's the best time? When's when
It's
is it
our
not too hot?
warm here.
It's
It's
always
it's
what I was gonna say.
uh,
It's always warm.
yeah. Well,
So
it's not too hot. Would be from maybe May until October.
okay,
it's
okay,
it's not so
I'm
it's
doing
not
it.
so oppressive here
I'm
in
doing.
in Rio.
Do you hear
Yeah.
this, Jay? Jay Domingo, we're going. We're going. We're gonna.
Yeah.
So that's
It's gonna be
awesome.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And barbecue, Brazilian barbecue is
uh,
is big too, right?
oh, yeah. No, now you're making me hungry. So yeah, good
Me
for you
too.
though. Yeah.
Another question is, if you could live in any fictional world, from comics, from movies, from books, from games, from whatever, uh, where would you live, and who would you be in that universe, in that setting?
Oh geez. I gotta go back to the X-Men again, but very specific. Very specific. Has to be um early 80s with Punk Storm. So it was like when they were when the mutants, when it was like the mutant massacre, and they were like living in the sewers and on the run. There's something as a preteen teenager just reading those outsider stories of the X-Men that I wanted to be an outlaw like that too. So who would I
Mm.
be? Who would I be in that? Who would I be? I don't want to be Wolverine. Uh,
You can be
uh
you can create an alter ego for yourself.
ooh,
Who would
ooh.
Anthony
Well,
Meloro be in that
oh
world?
no. Oh no, who would I be? Oh geez. Oh man. Oh, this may be a little bit too much into my psyche. I don't know. I would be a friend of like Shadowcat. Oh, how about this? How about this? I'd be Shadowcat's boyfriend. How about that? I'd be that.
Yeah,
There you go.
awesome. And the other question is, if you could take anything from these fictional worlds, these fictional universes,
Mm,
and made that thing real in our world, uh, what would you choose to make it real, and why? And that can be, a location, a faction, a character, a source of energy, anything. Like
uh,
mutations, you could make
yeah.
mutations real. I
Mutations.
don't
I
know.
mean, that would be cool, but it would be hmm. What would I want to make? What would I want to make real? Uh, yeah. I mean, let's have it. Let's see. Like, what would it? Why not? Let's see. Like, but it wouldn't be like where I think the Marvel movies are, or well, I don't know. There's not really hasn't been an X-Men. No. There's been tons of X-Men movies recently, or hasn't there? I don't keep up with the Marvel movies that much, but
Well,
it's
the cinematic universe, there hasn't been mutants yet,
yeah,
I think.
yeah. Not so much, but yeah, I would want to see that. I would want to see that gritty 80s mutant universe sort of come into play, where it's like, yeah, where the X-Men were like still the outsider heroes, but it was, but like specifically again, God, I'm getting really niche here, Giogo. It's like they're but they're on the run. They are being they're forced into the sewers. They're hiding out with the Morlocks. Yeah, they're some of them are being stripped of their power. Storm at this point, if we remember, Storm is she has no powers yet. Her powers were stripped. So
Mm.
she was like and the leader of the X-Men too. So uh yeah, that would be really fun to see that, but also extremely scary
Yeah.
as well too. So yeah.
Yeah. And finally, Anthony, the last
Mhm,
question is,
mhm.
do you remember the last time you felt really happy and, just grateful for being here and being alive? And if you do, can you share when was that and what is that you were doing?
That's the easiest question. This is it's right here, baby. It's talking to you.
Oh, come on.
No. This is like, well, this is what I was like. I'm hoping this
Thank
is
you.
what
Thank you very
like.
much.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
like no this these conversations, and I truly mean this. Like these conversations with creators and the community
Yeah.
that we've been making. This is that special time. So this is like, yeah, I'm happy and I'm content. Oh, wait, are you saying you're not happy? Are you not?
I am.
Okay, no,
I'm
no.
awesome. I love this. Uh, I always say this here that I started wanting to do one episode a week, but I
Mm.
enjoy it so much. I do two episodes a week,
Oh
sometimes
wow.
more, and I thought it would take away from my writing, my creative process, but
Mm.
it's the contrary. It fools me. It motivates
Wonderful.
me, and it's great. And
That's great.
as you said, it is like therapy. I come here and I talk to like-minded people about art,
Mm-hmm.
about creativity, about parenthood, about being a parent. I've talked about here about relationship advice, and then all sort of stuff.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
great. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. And
we have a section like game designers give relationship advice. So
okay.
it's one.
Oh God. That's fascinating. Actually, it's yeah. This is important, and this is happiness,
Yeah.
and this is what it is. It's like to say like another part that I was to be truly happy. I mean, I would answer that by saying, maybe 2 hours ago when I was eating this amazing roasted vegetable meal my wife made. So I was super happy that so moment by moment
Yeah.
I try to like it's the happiness is there. I know it's sometimes tough to see it,
Yeah.
but it is absolutely there for sure.
Do you
Yeah.
have any kind of practice for gratitude? Do you try to remember every day to
Yeah,
internalize something?
yeah, I mean I reflection I think is a big part of it, and it's definitely difficult. Like every day you're not able to do that, but it is important, I think, to try to keep up that practice to sort of think at the end of the day, like, like what happened today? Like what worked, what didn't work, where can I be a little bit of a better person, a better father, a better husband, a better writer, a better, coworker, just like, how can I do that? And it's, again, it's always tough. It's always tough. It's
A-
always, yeah, but
And to
it's
celebrate
necessary.
the good stuff too, right?
Hmm.
Like the
Oh
good
yeah.
roasted vegetable you ate, or
Oh
a smile or
yeah.
joke, or yeah.
Yeah, all that. Yes, it's not all like, again, not all self-critical. It's like absolutely
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's yeah, or just to think like,
Especially
again,
especially us that we're very self-critical. It's very important
the
to remember
sure.
the good stuff. People say it takes 9 times as much time to remember the good stuff than the bad stuff. So
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah, no, agree. 100%. Yeah, for sure. Cool.
And Anthony, that's all the questions I have. I'm very
Awesome.
grateful for having you here. And do you have any, maybe last message for the wonderful weirdos that might be listening to us?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for having me on. This has been an absolute pleasure, Giogo. Keep it weird, everyone. Keep doing your own thing. It's like you're doing great out there. And if somebody's being super critical about that, like, I know it's tough. Try to pay it no mind. It's like, you know, critiquing yourself, like having that community to talk to and bounce ideas off of course, that's necessary and needed. But if other people are unfortunately in your life and being super negative and are saying like, why are you doing this, et cetera, et cetera. No. Try to push through that, because like, yeah, keep it
Yeah.
weird, man, for sure. Keep
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah. And sometimes a lot more about those critics are more saying a lot more about themselves than about you,
Absolutely.
right? And
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
cool.
Anthony, thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
can you take us out saying the catchphrase of the show? Keep it weird, everybody.
Keep it weird, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Weird Games and Weirder People. If you'd like to keep up with the show, please subscribe to be notified when we release new episodes. If you'd like to support us, please leave a review or head on to code-fi.com/WGNWP. See you next time, and remember, weird is the new wonderful.